The following episode of the Carnival of Randomness is sponsored by an important message to you, the people, from Upsitnik and Associates. Every day there are forces that are taking from you, stealing from you. Your money, your time, your freedom. Immense faceless corporations, banks, credit card companies, insurance providers, government agencies, this list goes on and on. When you are under attack and facing crisis, turn to us, Upsitnik and Associates, attorneys for you, the people. When every day becomes a battle, we can advise and assist. We have been advocates for 40 years. Email us through upsitnikslaw.com or call us at 1-866-391-3299 or reach out to us through Upsitnik and Associates on Facebook for a prompt, no obligation communication and consultation. Don't be pushed around.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carnival of Randomness. And, of course, we cannot get away from winter. How's that? It turned Arctic and snowy and everything out there. But one thing is, I say random, and in Rochester, as you must know by now, if you listen to this or even go out, we have such a wide array of musical talent and so many great female artists in all categories of music. And I've listed them. I know many of them. They've been on here. And one of the ones I've noticed that terms of difficulty in some ways that I did not know about was country. And many of these great artists, they fly away, but like Halley's Comet, they come back, like from Tennessee. And we were very lucky, after finally getting our schedules down, to have Alyssa Trahan on today. Hi, Alyssa.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh, very good. Finally, we got like the schedule down. We were playing tag about being on here for so long.
We finally got it. We figured it out.
It happened. I'm surprised we didn't have like 8 feet of snow or something.
I mean, 1 foot, 8 feet. I don't like snow.
Do you have the thing now, like from living in Nashville, where it's like a culture shock coming here, you know, for the snow? Because I know you grew up here, you know everything.
So it's funny, anytime there's even like the threat of snow, the entire city shuts down. Like nobody goes out, nobody even gets coffee, schools are closed, it's insane. So people down there don't know how to deal with snow, ice, cold.
It was amazing because I lived in Alexandria for a while, and what happened was you would get a trace. The whole thing would shut down, and I would be laughing.
Well, oh, yeah.
A few years ago, a week before we went out to Las Vegas, it snowed. And on the Chamber of Commerce website, they shut the entire city down for 1 inch of snow.
Wow.
When we went to Dallas, they had 2 inches of snow and closed the airport.
The airport?
Yeah.
Wow.
Whereas I was in Helsinki, and they used, like, flamethrowers to burn through the ice.
You go to any civilized place, and like, well, hang on, 5 minutes. Plow it, and you're fine.
Yeah.
No, I think it was the big one, Dallas-Fort Worth, because we had to fly into Love Field. I think they shut down the huge airport.
Man.
But give us a little background about yourself for everybody.
Yeah. So I grew up in East Rochester and lived there my whole life. I kind of started out doing the whole music thing in Rochester. Played a bunch of, the local venues around here. And then 4 years ago, I moved to Nashville. Been there ever since, working towards the thing of being an artist. And I come back to Rochester every, 8 weeks, give or take. And I'll do, a week of shows. I get to see my friends, family, and the familiar faces of the fans, so.
How did you get into this, though? Was there something that got you? Why country? Did you just find a liking to it?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I've always written songs my whole life. And especially when I was really young, like when I was 10 years old, I didn't really know I was writing songs and I wasn't going for a genre. So I was just writing what I wanted to write, and I would listen to a little bit of everything. And then eventually I got older, and I was like, oh, this is country. I'm writing country. Because, I would listen to, Carrie Underwood, Dixie Chicks, all these people. And I just kind of realized, oh, this is where I fit. This is what I'm doing.
For me, actually, for country, out of all things, I might have the TV on. I found Hee Haw. And you could find that on there's one channel it's on now, and I got into that, and that was one of those things where, and then I think, did you have any album or any artist at the beginning that you saw and go, wow, this is somebody, because somebody already says you sound a lot like Dolly Parton.
Oh,
I did.
Well, thanks.
I was listening to your stuff coming down here, and I was like, oh my God, she sounds like 9 to 5 Dolly Parton.
Well, thank you.
Which is ironic, because guess who played 9 to 5? Jolene.
Yeah, because I literally said that. We were waiting outside, and I was like, man, she really sounds like Dolly Parton. It was
Well,
really...
thanks. Love Dolly. She's like my queen. I love
How
her.
can you not love Dolly?
Have you ever heard her version of
amazing.
Stairway to Heaven? Mm-hmm. And I like Little Sparrow. That's like one of the albums.
Everything she does, I adore her. She's my queen. I love her.
I like Loretta Lynn too as
Loretta's
well. And like I
great.
think about like Fifth City, which is my friend Elin Jewell did a cover of that, which is really good. But I want to mess with Loretta. That's great.
Yeah. Did some Loretta last night too at my show. But yeah, I mean, so when I was growing up, the artists that were kind of all over the radio are like Faith Hill, Dixie Chicks. There was Carrie Underwood, Taylor Swift, Miranda Lambert, Shania Twain, and hearing all their voices, I think really shaped what my sound became. And, you know, for me, hearing their voices on the radio, it was like, wow, like women killing it, doing awesome. I want to be like them.
That's awesome though. That's like I think great. And then you found we always go back and forth here where I know so many musicians very talented about being like classically trained or just doing it on your own. Did you take lessons for guitar and you play mandolin, ukulele?
So it's funny. So first my dad taught me how to play guitar because I was writing these songs in my head and I didn't play any instrument. I played piano, but I saw all these country artists playing guitar, so I was like, oh, that's what I have to do. And my dad's a guitar player, so I was like, Dad, I want to learn guitar. So he taught me a few chords, and we're doing chords, it's going great, and he was like, hey, why don't you take, like real lessons and learn, you know, scales, things like that. And I was like, okay. I think I took one lesson and then I quit because I hated it. The teacher was great. Like, it was just me being sassy. But, yeah, so my dad taught me, and after that, I kind of self-taught myself everything else.
I found there's quite the dichotomy about that where I know people, and it doesn't seem, whatever way you go to get to where you are is fine.
Yeah,
I find
there's no
people
rules.
who very classically trained, and then people who just, I picked it up and I learned it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend that is an incredible fiddle player, and she was classically trained, like classic violin. And then one day she was like, you know what? I want to do country. We're going to do fiddle now. And her teacher was like, no! And it's so funny. But yeah, there's no rules.
I
However you
always
get
ask
there.
the question in terms of musicians, because every musician I know can play like 50 instruments. Is there anything you'd ever be interested in picking up that you haven't played or you'd like to try?
Yes, a real banjo. I've played ganjo, which is like, it looks and sounds like a banjo, but it has the strings of a guitar. So it's basically you play a guitar and it sounds like a banjo. But a true banjo, the strings are different, the tunings are different, and it's really difficult to figure out. So that's one that I want to actually learn.
I've learned actually, because of you, I've learned something new too. There are plastic ukuleles for
There
kids.
are.
And you have the whole endorsement with
Kala, I do, yeah.
I know I was going to pronounce the name wrong, so I didn't do it. But how did you get into that? And it's like I was looking at, wow, you need little fingers to strum.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
I love ukulele. I met Kala at NAMM, which is a big conference in Nashville, and they have like all the music gear, the instruments, things like that. And I met them, and I was like, hey, I love your ukuleles. Like, I'd love to talk to you about working together somehow. And didn't take long. We came to an agreement that we'd work together, and I play their ukuleles. They have a really cool thing called a U-bass, which is a ukulele bass. And it's, yeah, I love their company. It's great.
That's cool. And I know you played the mandolin too, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I love the sound of the mandolin.
Me too.
Which is cool.
It's very happy.
And I do think I like that Bruce Hornsby song "Mandolin Rain" every time.
Yeah.
I do. I can't help it. But how did you all get in then to performing? And I think it's a lot different now in terms of recording. Where I remember years ago, I would always say the comment would be sometimes it sounds local. Because of the technology, you would hear some old bands and, wow, you could tell this was recorded in a basement or something. Whereas now, everything sounds like your things are pristine.
Thank you.
And, but how did you start getting into for doing your songs and performing and everything?
So actually, we are at the place that I first started recording with Mr. Andy Calabrese.
I've heard of this guy. I've heard this guy's like an urban legend. I don't know if he exists, but I've heard like he played with Robert Johnson in the 30s even. He's like a spirit of music in Rochester. Never really seen him, but I've heard the name.
Yeah, the elusive Andy Calabrese. But yeah, so I wanted to start recording my original stuff. So, you know, my dad and I looked up some studios we could go to, and this is where we started. And then it kind of snowballed into, I had some not great recording experiences elsewhere that kind of prompted me to learn how to do it myself. So then I learned how to do it myself, and after that I also went to school for it. I went to Finger Lakes Community College for 2 years, and then right after that I moved to Nashville and just started doing it myself. I have a studio set up in Nashville. I do all my own demos. I'm producing my own records, so it all kind of snowballed.
That's cool. I love the control aspect, too, because that's like, for me, if you do it, if you mess up, you don't mess up, you did it. Mm-hmm. And I've had friends who've had some deals, and what I would hear was, I love the music, but I hate the industry part of it, because I literally did an album, and they said, no, you can't do it that way.
Yeah.
You go in and you go, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah, that's one cool thing about being an indie artist, is you can literally do anything you want. I don't have anybody telling me, like, no, you can't release that song, or no, you can't do this thing you want to do. We have to do this. So, yeah. One
thing I like to ask is, between, you do some very good cover songs, and I think your own songs are great. And how is it between covers and originals? Is there different... What I'm trying to say really is, like, in terms of originals, I've always known there's always a passion for originals, but I see with your covers, you bring it on those, too, because I will say, like, if you ever see Alyssa live, and you should, you really bring it on stage. You do have a passion. You can tell you really enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've seen a lot of bands who come out and... Well, let's just say, I've been to some shows, literally, where the band comes out, they don't want to be there, and... It's like, what are we doing? Are they just going through the motions? But you really bring it, and you make the covers your own.
Yeah, I always like to put a little twist on them, kind of make them a little different than the original, but still honor the original.
And you still get a kick out of, like, doing them, plus you like doing both. Do you prefer doing your original songs?
I do like doing my original songs more, just because, they're originals.
I think we do. I think everybody I've ever talked to, because I have friends who'll do... like cover bands, and they enjoy it, but then they have their own projects, and when you bring your creativity to it and what you do, that really has a difference, and I think it shows with people. Yeah, it's, songs are, for a songwriter, our songs are like our children, so it's really fun to just, share our art with people, and when people want to listen, it means a lot more than people think it does. And how do you get I'll use an example, my friend Greg Townsend, for the High Risers, he gets his influences everywhere. He said he was driving along one time at night. Somebody threw a cigarette out on the road. His song Sparks in the Highway. He's driving down the road. He sees a sign ATM inside, writes a song ATM inside. Mm-hmm. One of my really good friends that I will not name her wrote one song, and I asked her what it was about. It was about somebody I never want to see again. And I always say, don't piss a songwriter off.
No, don't do that. It's a bad move.
Where do you get your... did they just come to you, or they...
A lot of my songs are from personal experience, whether it's something that I personally went through or something I saw a friend go through, or I've also gotten ideas from, like, books I've read or movies I've seen or just things I've noticed people going through or doing. Like, if I am part of a conversation but I'm not talking, I'm probably thinking about writing a song about something that somebody just said. So yeah, it all comes from something I experienced personally, whether it was like truly me going through it or me kind of observing.
And I do, like, because I write a lot, and like I'll see, like, at shows, I look like the miserable person in the corner. I assure you I'm having fun. But I will pick stuff up from people and then like thinking, wow, look at this person doing it. And I know, Zach, you had one that interested you already. You listened to Alyssa's.
Oh yeah, the first one I actually ran across was Pickle Jar.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, and then the chorus comes around, and I can open my own pickle jar. I was like, oh, okay then. The title now makes perfect sense.
There you go, yeah.
And the thing about that is you can do that. I always hurt my wrist when I try to open a pickle jar.
I have tricks. Yeah.
That's why. Dang it, hit it with the knife.
Yeah, hit it with the heavy end of a butter knife.
I love pickles, so.
Oh, I do too. It's like load up like around here, pick different ones. Actually, we're in a pickle factory.
I know.
This was real. I guess this was a real pickle factory.
Back in the day, I still have to figure out when exactly it stopped becoming a pickle factory. It's got to be somewhere.
Everywhere.
Somewhere in the history of
imagine,
Rochester.
Like, okay, we'll do the interview now. Every guest gets a barrel of pickles to
take.
Oh
my God,
that
you
would
kidding
be
me?
Cool.
You kidding me? We'd have
you
people
must have
lined
some
up.
good ones like in I was going to ask about Nashville too. Don't help them. Have you heard of hot chicken?
Hell yeah, Nashville hot chicken.
Yeah,
never had it, but I've heard of it.
Well, you should have been in the audience. I don't think anybody knew or
nobody
one person
heard of
knew.
it. It was so funny. It's kind of like. So Nashville hot chicken is big in Nashville, obviously. Kind of like how we have garbage plates here. Yeah. If I tell someone in Nashville, do you know what a garbage plate is? They're like,
they have no clue what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, so it was kind of like that.
The one I always thought of down south was chow chow. And that's one you can't. They have it up here in some places, but it's one of those you can't. I was asking the singer from Southern Culture on the Skids about it. Down he lives in Lenoir. I think it's Lenoir. We would pronounce it Lenoir, North Carolina. And it's like a hot sort of like relish base.
I think
it's very. And I always have this thing about regional cooking, where like if you try to make hush puppies or something up here, you're not going to do it right.
Right.
And I'm sure like in Nashville, they have their specialties.
They do, yeah. I mean, on top of the Nashville hot chicken, we have chicken and waffles. They do have great hush puppies. And a big thing is like a meat in three. So you get some kind of like barbecue meat, and then you get 3 really good sides. That's kind of like the staple.
I think some places say you get 3 vegetables, but they consider macaroni and cheese a vegetable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's fine. But another regional thing, when I was in South Carolina, the first thing I wanted to do was get a pimento cheese sandwich. Mm-hmm. And I got one. The lady working the counter, she's like, "You're not from here." Like, "No, ma'am, I'm not."
That's actually my good friend Ron Stein. He lives in Nashville, but he does security for bands. And whenever you're playing, and whenever you ever need security, if you're playing a huge date, he was on tour with Sam Hunt.
Oh, cool.
And what he would do is he'd go around, and he would always try like the different cuisines and everything. Was going around the country.
There's a lot of cool things to eat in Nashville, not just like Nashville staples, but because the city is such a melting pot, there's literally everything. So there's a ton of like Vietnamese and Chinese food and Japanese food and vegan food, and it's really, really cool.
That's really awesome, though. It's like...
Well, it's what they say. Whenever the immigrants start showing up, the food improves drastically.
Yeah, I think so. But did you just do this career-wise, or pick, I won't think because of country, I really want to live in Nashville? Or you just, I know a lot of my friends actually, like Meg Williams I mentioned, she's gone down there. A couple of my other friends, because I don't know, one of my friends signed with Rounder Records, and going down there was this more, let's get the hell out of the cold weather in Nashville.
I'm not a fan of the cold, but
and you were bored here and everything.
Yeah, it all started, I was younger and I was kind of researching, I guess you could say, the artists that I was following, the artists that I mentioned earlier. And one thing they all had in common was that they moved to Nashville. So I was like, oh, that's what I have to do. So I asked my parents if we could go on a family vacation to Nashville. This was kind of my way of like breaking it to them easily. So we went on vacation there, and it was incredible. As soon as I was in that city, I knew I wanted to live there one day. And so afterwards, shortly after that, I started really pursuing music seriously. And so then I was like, Mom and Dad, I need to go to Nashville on like a business trip. I want to see if I can do this. So my dad took me on some business trips, air quotes. Every like couple months, we'd go down to Nashville for about a week. And we did that for maybe a year and a half or 2 years. And literally every time I was there, every single person we met said, "You need to move to Nashville. You need to move to Nashville."
That's good when you find like a sense of place, something you fit in and you enjoy and everything. Yeah. And actually, I was thinking of the Grand Ole Opry. Have you ever been to the Grand Ole Opry?
I have been there. It's amazing. It's a dream to play there one day.
The story I can't ever... The immortal George Jones. And there's one story about him where he had some issues, obviously. But I guess the Jones boys were playing. He's in a bar. So somebody has to go get him. He's drunk. They're, "Get on stage, George." He goes up. He goes on stage, walks across stage, leaves. They riot and beat up all the Jones boys.
Oh, my. There's some crazy stories about Nashville and country stars, I'll tell you.
The other one I see always is, I always mention, I should send an email to Mike for Wood Songs. I send it for some friends. If you ever watch Wood Songs, so it would be up your alley. And a lot of people, I know Amy Lavera's played there, Samantha Fish. And it's really sort of that kind of music, too. Yeah. But that's in Kentucky.
That's not too far from Nashville, though.
Oh,
Kentucky's
really? Yeah, it is.
close,
You don't think about that. You think about, you go down Ohio, Kentucky. I do know some geography.
Yeah, we pass right through Kentucky when we drive to Nashville.
Yeah, I'm picturing it in my head now. Yeah. But that's cool. But now, explain, like, okay, these are your first albums, right? I brought everything. I've owned these for years, yay. How did the whole process go about, like, doing these?
Yeah, so actually the very first record I ever put out was one I released in 2013. It was a full album. And I was like a baby. I was like 16 years old. So after a few years, we were like, let's just not sell this anymore. Because people go to listen and I sound like a toddler. But I released that. And after that, we started going to Nashville more. And we reached out to some studios there. And we were like, hey, like we're looking to record some original music. And I did 3 EPs in Nashville. and they were all at different studios. But basically, it was just I had written all these original songs. I wanted to put them out for people to hear, for people to discover, and I wanted to have something at my shows that I could give to people. So that's why we did all the EPs, and now I'm working on another album. So, yeah.
You would seem like you would record more organically, and by that I mean you more live person.
A lot of live,
You just seem
yeah.
like you would do that. You wouldn't go with all the dubbings and all the...
I do mainly live stuff. I do some overdubs depending on what the song needs. But yeah, like all of the EPs I've done so far, and pretty much all the music I've released, it's been, real instruments, things like that.
And the one thing, what was your first gig? Like in public, not at home or singing it to your dad or your
my
dog
first,
cats or anything.
My first technically gig was actually at my high school, and they had this thing that was really cool. It was called Acoustic Coffee House, and the band teacher put it on, and it was just after school. Students could come and bring their instruments. They could play a cover. They could play an original song. So I brought my guitar and I sang a song, and I remember being so nervous. I just stared at my guitar the whole time. And there were like maybe 12 people there, but that was the very first taste.
Better than ours, because we did one at our high school and our amp exploded.
So,
yeah, so we started calling. We say it was. We changed the name to Feedback for a while because that was like Spinal Tap, where you're playing and all you're hearing is someone might have this on video somewhere. It's like you're lucky because I'm sure you could Google your name. You might have that on YouTube. You don't even know playing in high school. It's like back in the day with us, we were kind of free.
I have video of it. But,
not for sale,
No, not for sale. I keep that to myself.
But the one thing that's really cool, too, is you've played with a lot of people. You've toured with a lot of people. And you said, like, Nashville, like, around here, I don't know who you might meet. Maybe Bozo the Clown's walking somewhere, some random person. I've actually had some weird random encounters here. But you run into, like, celebrities all the time.
I do. Honestly, it's crazy. And, I'm in the industry, so I've been at events that these celebrities, famous people are at. And it's like, this is so weird. We're at the same event. Like, we're working with the same people. This is crazy. But, yeah, it's crazy because it's the norm there.
But we were my friend Steve and I, one time, we ran into Eddie Van Halen up here.
Wow.
And he's like, it's Eddie Van Halen. And you sense a place like, what's he doing here? So I guess he knew somebody at a place where we're at. So Steve, being Steve, runs up, hey, can I have a picture? And I go, wait a second. Or I guess like Ryan Adams actually used to live here for a while.
Oh.
Which was true, I guess. He actually really did. And I don't know if you'd want to run into Ryan Adams. So
Which Steve is this? Is this Litvak?
No, it's Steve Pizzuto. But Ryan Adams, I remember I've been a big fan of Ryan Adams for years, so I remember we went to a festival, and I told my friends, okay, now if we're going to go see Ryan Adams, I got to warn you a little bit. It might be depending on how he is. So he comes out, he plays 3 songs, he says, I haven't taken my meds for a few days. He walks off the stage, because that was Ryan.
Oh, wow. That's insane.
So that's like, that's just how Ryan Adams was. I guess I saw him again, actually in Ohio a while back, and he seemed a little more like peaceful and everything. But he has his issues.
I mean, hey, the industry does that to people. It's a tough one.
How did you get into doing music for movies and stuff too?
Yeah, so every opportunity I've had in that respect, the movie people reached out to me and said, hey, we like what you're doing. Do you want to write something for us? Can we feature this? So it's really cool when people find you and discover you and want to work with you.
I've actually seen Jersey Devil.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, have you seen it? Mm-hmm. We've both seen Jersey Devil.
Seen it. Yeah, it was one of the sci-fi things. The sci-fi
There's
originals.
There's a couple of them.
Well, wait, which one? Is it the one? I think it's the one with Lou Diamond Phillips? Or am I thinking of a different one?
You might be thinking of a different one.
Yeah, it's a different one. There's a different one called Jersey Devil. It's almost like, it's not Blair Witch-like, but it's sort of like that.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I've seen so many.
I watched it on New Year's Eve one year.
Oh, wow.
Little did I know that was your song.
It was my song, yeah.
I'll have to look back and see.
You do any TV?
I've done some TV things. I was actually on a commercial here for Tom Walls. That was really fun a while back. I've done a bunch of like news spots and things like that. TV shows, I haven't really done any. That would be fun to do in the future.
Shout out to Maybird, my friends in Maybird. They actually have a song on The Man in the High Castle and
That's
on
awesome.
iZombie. And Josh was telling me about that. I love iZombie.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's really cool. Like if you ever did, like if they have a Buffy reboot, I have to like get you on there or something.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Me and Buffy and everything. But that's got to be cool sometimes, especially like if you like a show and somebody calls you. Oh, wow, I watched it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Have you had like some good, like interesting touring experiences with these musicians? Fun, everything?
I
And
have.
it's going to be amazing too. I have like my good friend Rob Mount. Years ago in high school, it's amazing how people go through the years. He started drumming. You know, Foreigner's a big band, so down the line, he's drumming for Lou Gramm.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that where I really idolize this person? Wow, I'm opening for them.
I have. You know, a really cool experience I had was when I found out I was opening for Charlie Daniels.
Oh, nice.
And it was really cool because my dad is in my band and he's a huge Charlie Daniels fan. So I found out, and my dad's in the other room, and I walk in and I say, "Hey, Dad, guess who's opening for Charlie Daniels?" And he was like, "I don't know who." He thought I was going to say, like, an artist I like, "Can we go see the show?" And I was like, "We are." And he was like, "Wait, what? Wait, what?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're opening for Charlie Daniels."
You got a story about Charlie.
Well, no, I saw him at a fire hall outside of Pittsburgh years ago. And he came out after sunset because, as he put it, I'm old and fat and it's hot. And, I mean, he tore the place down. I mean, the guy can flat out put on a show.
Oh, he can. He's incredible.
Oh, my God.
You forget about his pedigree. He played with Bob Dylan. I think on John Wesley Harding. He's been around. He's like almost 85 now. And he's been. And I remember hearing for The Whole Devil Went Down to Georgia and all these, but he's done a lot of different things.
His show, I kid you not, was just incredible. I mean, the audience was silent when he did the really touching slow songs. When he did, like, Devil Went Down to Georgia, it was like a riot. It was crazy.
I think about him, too. He's a very big people person. I
He
think people
is.
can tell he loves people.
Yeah, and it's actually funny. His team, I guess, has told him, like, "Hey, you have to stop touring, like, for your health." And he was like, "No." He just keeps
Willie
touring.
Nelson, I think he's going to be 87. He still tours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how... I think it gets me because I was thinking, again, I saw Bob Dylan a couple years ago. He's pushing 80. I'm sure he's got tons of money, I would figure. But he's endless every year. He has some health problems in the early 80s. Every year he tours. And I think when you think about, you don't have to do it, you just do it because you love it. I saw Mose Allison, which for me was like a real treat. And he had a little bit of Alzheimer's, so he played 2 songs twice. But he was touring 200 dates a year into his 80s. And you obviously going all around, you must love it to do it after a while.
Yeah, you have to love it. I mean, it is a lot. It gets tiring, but at the end of the show, at the end of the day, it's still what you love to do.
Do you ever do the one when you're in some city and you say the wrong city? I had Roger Daltrey.
I haven't done that yet.
Roger Daltrey, they're playing in Canandaigua. He said it's great to be back in Rochester.
That's funny. Yeah. I've been close to doing that. I haven't done that yet.
It's like, hi, hello, how you like
So
it?
you haven't had to write the name of the city on the back of a guitar?
I will write it on my set list.
Yeah, like, hello!
Yeah.
Do you have any good
Sheboygan!
One of my friends had to text me. She's like, I'm having a gin and tonic with Fiona Apple. And she sent me this picture with Sean Lennon from South by Southwest. Do you have any interesting stories with people you met? Like I know you
do.
met Randy Travis.
Yeah, that's kind of my most interesting story. I had tacos with Randy Travis. We're at the same PR firm in Nashville, and the company had a Christmas party that I went to. I did not think he would be there, but then he came in, and all of a sudden we're eating tacos together, and then we played Secret Santa together, and we took a group picture together at the Christmas party, and I was next to him, and he grabbed me, and he just gave me this big hug. He was in a wheelchair, but he just, like, grabbed me, and he's, like, giving me a hug, and I was like, what is going on? Like, this is Mr. Randy Travis, and
he's also part of, I mean, there's all different waves of country, as I say. He was part of that one wave, I think, with Alan Jackson, Bentley, that really brought it to the radio. Mm-hmm. And I remember my big story one time was at a thing in New York. Mick Jagger stepped on my foot when he walked by. So my encounter with Mick Jagger, he said sorry.
At least he said sorry.
Yeah, he did. It's like, you should have been rude. You're a Rolling Stone. You should have gave me the finger or something. So that was my famous encounter.
Oh, wow.
So that's my whole, when I'm like 90, hey, Mick Jagger stepped on my foot.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
So what did you ever do?
What did you do?
But that's cool. But one thing, and you made me aware of this, and you have to talk about your song, this right here, Because I'm a Girl. Mm-hmm. And I have to admit, I've had one of my very good friends' bands I play with, they've told me, people would come up to them and say, I can't believe you girls play this instrument, or you do this. Mm-hmm. And I always say, I want to get a shirt saying, I wish I could play like a girl. Because I know I do a lot of stuff with Girls Rock Rochester here. They do this, but friends tell me this happens, and I did not realize that this happened in country music as much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes, it's a very big issue. Yeah, my song Because I Am a Girl, it's kind of about being a girl in society, and then in the bridge it's specifically about
just
country
interrupt for a
music.
second. This is very timely because finally Harvey Weinstein finally got
Yes.
busted, and they couldn't give him enough, but they got him at least.
They got him.
And I hope this tells more people, don't hide about this. If something happens, tell somebody. Don't
Yes.
just be a victim.
Yes, absolutely. There's actually going on right now in the country music world. We just had CRS, which is Country Radio Seminar, and somebody came forward talking about a really not appropriate encounter that she had as a journalist with a male artist. And so that kind of sparked this whole conversation again. And yeah, when they come forward, that's when at least word gets out about these people. You know what I mean? So definitely always come forward. There will always be people there for you.
And, I mean, I don't care. I still love the Dixie Chicks. My Name is Earl. I think it's funny.
I love the Dixie Chicks. I don't care if
They
country radio
really
says
good-
not to play them. I love them.
How can... See, that's the beauty for me. It's like, I'm not going to listen to your channel then. I'll play these
Exactly.
myself. To heck with you and everything. But they've done this to many artists.
Oh, yeah. It's really sad.
And see, I don't even realize it because in a lot of ways, I listen to a lot of country music, but mostly I listen to it, the stuff I bought. I don't really listen to radio.
Right.
And I don't know that I did not realize... I think what you said, and I've heard this myself a couple times I have, if you listen to it, you'll hear the same 10 songs over and the same people.
Yep.
And I think there's a big double standard, too, because I think you can have male artists talk about, like, really terrible things.
Yeah.
If a female dares to speak up, how dare you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's so crazy. And when I released that song, actually, half the people, I'd say, or maybe more than half the people, were very supportive about it. But then there were some people that were like, you're overreacting. This isn't a problem. Sit down, shut up. And I was like, whoa, like, this is even bigger of a problem than I thought it was.
I want an example of that. One of my friends, he wanted to see what it was like from a female perspective. So what he did, he went on one of those online dating services. He pretended to be a female. He said what he got back for responses. Like, you have to say it's horrible, but he had to say, I guess that's why a lot of women say no dick pics. Because you'll have
That's
these
a big
guys
thing,
trying to
too.
text you and stuff. And you think about what you go through. And a lot of people just, oh, no, it's nothing. It's nothing.
Well, if you look at it like now, for example, all social media, if somebody sends you a message, they blur the picture first. And you have to like gradually unblur it to make sure you want to see it. And that's why.
See, you're of that age where I still sort of a half a Luddite and I try to avoid that stuff. I send pictures of cats and funny stuff. I never send like sicko.
I like cats
If
and funny
anybody ever
stuff.
says, "Oh, that was horrible," you sent me. What? It was like a stuffed bunny. Lighten up. I can't,
Yeah.
but that's it can be, there's that element of society that's always been there. I mean, when we were kids, we had, stranger danger and everything.
Yeah.
But we always sort of, everybody tried to be nice and keep it under. It was like with the clergy things going on. Now, you have to be honest about this stuff because how do you fix it and how do you treat people decently?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like when I started this about saying female artists in there, I like to get to the point where I just don't say male or female. I just say talented artists.
Yeah, that's honestly, and one thing that people say about this whole like female artist movement, whatever, is that we want special treatment, but no, we just want people to stop saying, what's it like to be a female artist? Like, no, what's it like to be an artist? Don't care about my gender. I care about the music I'm making.
I still don't understand that when they said, like, I can't believe you girls play instruments. Are you kidding me?
Wow,
I've
you're
had a
double
lot of
threat.
people
you
actually-
can talk too?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've had a lot of people,
writes
especially in
your
recording
songs?
studios. Yeah. People will be like, wow, I've never seen a girl like play guitar like that. Good for you. Like, oh wow, you sing, you write your own songs? Whoa. Like, yes.
I am going to get a shirt now saying, I wish I played like a girl.
Do it. Do it.
But I'm
Please do
very
it.
for that. I think it's ridiculous to hold anybody back and let them go on their merits and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, it's stupid. You can't because your vocals, you're female. But I'd love to just play like a song and say, wow, that's great, isn't it? Don't you like how he did? Oh, by the way, that's not a guy who wrote that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Like June Carter wrote Ring of Fire. A lot of people about her relationship with Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And Johnny was very big about including people.
Yeah, he was. He was great. He was a big voice behind not necessarily the women movement because it wasn't as big of a thing when he was, at his prime, I guess. But he was very big on radio, taking chances on songs that didn't fit the template of what they were looking for.
Oh, I think he would be, though. Those kind of
He
guys
would
were
be.
rebels. Merle Haggard, definitely. Some of these guys. Yeah, you won't want to mess with any of these guys
Oh,
either
no, you
if
don't.
you hear. But even like Sinatra, for all his flaws, I guess, like he would be very, very good to black musicians. Very talented. So you're going to include them. You're not going to include
Yeah,
them.
he paid Sammy Davis Jr. well for carrying his golf clubs.
That's a joke. But
Is
here's-
it? No,
No, he was actually very good. He made sure he included them.
But he was not the leader, as we all found out later on in
Dean
life.
Martin.
Dean Martin was the true leader of that group. Frank had to ask his permission to do things. I love Sinatra, but he cowtailed to Dean Martin like everybody else did.
That's important. And I know your dad's got a band, too, as you said. And
Yeah.
I think I've seen them, actually, before.
Yeah, it's funny. So he always says I took him out of retirement once he started playing in my band. And then some other people in our band, actually, our drummer, he was in another band already. And he was like, hey, do you want to be a part of our band too? Like, we need a guitar player. So my dad was like, okay, why not? And then they also recruited my bass player for, like, fill-ins when somebody's sick. So, yeah, all my band is in
Well,
another
there's a
band
thing
too.
about in Rochester where everybody's got to be in 15 bands.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
pretty much everybody I know, pretty much. Like, I don't know how my friend Sam Snyder speaks. He's, Sam, you're producing this, you're doing this band, there's a new one. My friend Tommy, you wonder what he's going to start next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus God, how many? When he would have to, when he at the end of the D&D thing, when he would rattle off what he's up to, it's like, my God, I can never remember all this.
That's actually a question I was going to ask you. Was in terms of comfort zone. My good friend Vicky started this thing she's doing now monthly, where musicians are playing things out of their zones. They're like a punk band. They're going to do acoustic. My friend Amanda's going to play upright bass. Is there a genre that you would think is out there you'd ever want to try, like even like once?
You know, I think doing like a true pop song would be really fun. Like
Power
like-
pop or pop or
like straight up pop that you'd hear on pop radio. I think it would be fun just to kind of like see what it was like.
like Liz Phair. Well, Liz Phair did that when she changed sort of from new wave punk. She actually made a pop album, which she did. It was very well produced and quality. And of course, fans don't realize, they're like, oh, well, you sold out. Well, go where the music takes you, and like if
Yeah.
it's good. I always say, Count Basie said it, and I say there's two types of music: good music and bad music.
Yeah, and you know, a funny thing too, when I was younger, I always thought it would be really cool to be a genreless artist. And I thought it'd be cool to like put out an album and every song is a different genre. So I think that'd be really fun to do one day, maybe later on in my career.
A rock opera about hot chicken.
I'll have to do
I'd
that,
listen
yeah.
to it.
I'll have to do that.
Triple album.
Yes. And then I'll do like a nice ballad about garbage plates from Rochester.
Yes, with opera and everything else. That would be really kind of funny. But I like how that goes like that. And the other thing I always like to ask musicians too is, like, do you have a preference? I know we talked ukulele. Do you have preference for like equipment, or you just pick up any guitar? And
So I am with Breedlove Guitars, and I love my Breedlove guitars. They're incredible. And I find myself always reaching for a guitar when I write. I've written on piano, mandolin, ukulele too, but I always reach for a guitar first. It's where I'm most comfortable.
words or music come first. It's like,
You know, it varies each song. Every song, sometimes I get the idea, sometimes I get the melody, sometimes I have like just a few lyrics I've written down.
and the one thing I was going to say too, you fall into the category again of so many people that are friends of mine, being the big cat person. And I guess if you go on your site, you could
I
see
love
a lot
kitties.
of the cats.
Yeah, I love my kitties. Yeah.
And what are their names? And
I have two kitties.
unless they're shy.
Yeah.
One of them is very shy, but I have one girl. Her name is Beasley, and she was named after The Office, the character Pam Beasley, because The Office is my favorite TV show. And then I have one more cat. He's a boy. His name is Chip, and he was named after Chip Gaines from the HGTV show Fixer Upper.
That's a good
Those are
one.
my kitties.
You ever see the UK version of The Office?
Yeah, I have. I like that one too.
That one's, you have to get the humor at first because it's
Yeah.
really subtle.
It has UK humor for sure.
You either
but
start laughing or you don't start laughing or anything else.
It's like a delayed laugh. You're like, is that funny? Oh yeah, that's funny. Okay, I get it.
That's it is. It's like, I remember there was like one with a little thing and his pants fell down and people are.
Yeah.
But
I actually have a question.
Okay.
How would you describe country music to somebody that
Country-
doesn't know it? Because
Yeah.
growing up, when I thought of country music, I thought of like Hank Williams,
Sure.
the real twangy stuff. But
Yeah.
it's
actually, I was listening to Red Sovine recently.
yeah. I mean, it's
And truck. Oh, you have
blown
to do
beyond that.
sometime. You're a country artist. You have to do one truck song.
I do have one truck song. I do have one.
Or did you ever hear like the whole country music song? Well, my boyfriend left me, my girlfriend left me, my dog died, my pickup truck blew up, I'm broke, and my liver's falling apart.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And actually, that brings up a story, too. You talked about opening gigs. One of the things I'll share with you is Hayes Carl. I love Hayes Carl. But Hayes said, like, he worked in Galveston, his first gig. You can't top this one. he played on Wednesday nights at a bar. And what they would do is advertise it. Wednesday night special, $4 bucket of chicken and Hayes Carl.
That's awesome.
And I guess it flooded and the guy's lion escaped.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, how would you describe country?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously country has evolved a lot, and there's kind of like two sides of country right now. There's the traditional side, and then there's the more modern side, and I love both sides. I think great music is great music, but the way I see country music is that it's all about the song, and it's all about the songwriting. And it's about the story in the song. So even if there are kind of some more pop, rock, whatever it is, elements in the production, it comes down to you can play the song just with an acoustic guitar and it still works. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think we also, again, labels, whatever, it's music.
It's music,
but I think
yeah.
about like alt country, which comes out of Graham Parsons a little. I think that's where it came from. Or pop country, which really I think came out of bands like the Eagles and even America.
Yeah.
Which America, I think, was after the Eagles, but they ripped off the Eagles, I think. But those type of bands. And because Keith Richards, that's why the Stones were playing Dead Flowers and got into the country things, because he was friends with Graham Parsons. And I love Graham and Emmylou Harris has got one of those voices that just, it's like an angel singing or something. And then it became Townes Van Zandt and like one of my favorite bands that's really underappreciated, the Jayhawks. And one of the only people I will go see in a big arena, Jason Isbell.
Yes.
Confession, I hope Dave's not listening, but we're going to go see him. He's playing with Trey Anastasio, and I hate Fish. But it's the only place Jason's playing. I've actually seen him. We took a road trip even to go to the Beacon Theater to see him.
Yeah.
And talk about meeting artists. I've noticed when you meet people, you're friendly, open. Keep this in mind. I guess one of my friends met Jason Isbell years ago. So we met him when he played here again. He goes, he didn't remember. He said, you met me when I was drunk? Was I an asshole to you? Because I guess he had the... But Jason, I just think, is songwriter. He's just up there. He's
he's one of the best writers ever. He's incredible, yeah.
So that's one person I will actually go to the larger places and see because he's just incredible. And I guess We Were Vampires was talked about in the New York Times Magazine. It's one of the top 25 songs.
That song is amazing.
And it really is an elephant.
Yeah.
And I just love the way he's going too with his Nashville band and everything else. And I think he had to get away from drive-by truckers just because he's tried to clean up his life. But he does do Decoration Day and everything.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
He's incredible.
But this is real. I think you're doing very well.
Thank you.
And it's always what I love to see too is you go from step one where you 10 years later, every album you're like, what are you doing now? Wow, this is really, where did you get this idea? Where did you get this idea?
Yeah.
And everything. I think which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an ever moving process and not slowing down.
It's not one of those where, why am I listening to this is the same stuff as the first album?
Right.
That's because some bands, they only have 3 albums in them, but a lot of bands just you grow as an artist and you learn new things and you try new things. And in music, what you do, you might listen to something and be, wow, I've never heard this. This is some kind of different. I've just started listening to some music of Africa, and it's all there's so many different beats and things out there.
Yeah.
Then you incorporate it in your music, but it stays you in a way too, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's what really makes an artist is you kind of keep reinventing yourself in a way, and you keep trying new things, but you still sound like you.
Yes, that's a great way of describing it.
Thanks.
Well, as we wrap it down, 2 things. 1, your ultimate collaboration, living or dead. Living or dead. Regardless of genre, since you are the genre-less musician at heart.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious of me to say this, but Dolly Parton.
Yeah,
I'll
send her a message.
I think that would probably be a lot of people's answer to that.
I met enough people, some people I would be sort of embarrassed by because I'd act like a drooling idiot in front of, even though I didn't want to, or you'd think about, it's bad when you reherse what you're going to say, because what's going to happen, you go up and you'll say the dumbest thing.
No, because you're going to go up and pull the Lenny Montana from The Godfather. It is an honor to be here on the day of your daughter's wedding. Because it turns out he actually was rehearsing that because he was scared shitless to do a scene with Marlon Brando. The director, Coppola, saw it and said, put it in the movie. So him rehearsing was literally him rehearsing to have a scene with Marlon Brando.
Oh, wow.
That would be me with a lot of celebrities.
Yeah, there's a few celebrities that if I ever got the chance to meet them,
complete starstruck?
One of them, it did happen. I met Taylor Swift, and I just lost my chill.
By the way, I have a connection to her. I have a huge connection. Yes, I do. Our birthday's the same. So that's why
that's awesome.
I wondered why I get mistaken for something. And I turned out our birth date's the same.
Makes
and
sense.
She's got the thing about hers, people don't appreciate. She's got loads of talent.
I have seen a lot of her shows now, and she just is such an entertainer, such a songwriter, such an artist. And when I met her, I got to meet her mom, too. And they're just all so sweet and genuine. And it's just incredible, yeah.
It is, and a lot of people, like I met Johnny Cash back in the 90s. He played at the Auditorium Theater, and I remember June Clinton. I was scared at first because I thought, oh, I want to hear Johnny Cash. It's not going to be a Christmas show because he had poinsettias and stuff. But they did the show, but I always say the term I used was country people. And what they did was, after the show, it's snowing out, they stood in the back, talked to anybody you wanted to talk, everything else, and they were sweet.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, but that was the one time I saw him, and he really came off as, like, sincere, which I really liked and everything.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Cash was a rebel, but he was definitely a sincere person, which is really cool.
He was a man of the people, I always say that.
For sure.
Some of my southern friends would say, like, they could yes ma'am, no ma'am themselves into anything.
Yep.
That's like, all right, but... See, I would have loved to have met or even seen Johnny Cash.
Yeah, that would have been
But
incredible.
it will
That ship
happen. I mean,
sailed.
one of my friends right now she's actually on a Bob Weir video because she played with him. She ended up playing with Bob Weir, and she went around doing Grateful Dead, like the live album, but I guess the video of Bob Weir at one show, she played with her. So you'll be amazed how many people will find you.
Yeah.
You know, they'll have an ear and they'll say, we want part of that.
Yeah,
because this is talent and this is something new. But I would freak out. I'll actually, I don't know if Dolly knows me personally, but I'll tell her, hey, we do this. Get her to play with you.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Even if I
Send me
just
pictures
had,
from
like,
Dolly World. Have you been to Dolly World?
I haven't. I want to go really bad, though. I know, it's funny, I know a lot of people that know her. I've worked with a lot of musicians that have worked with her, so I'm like one person away. But I just feel like if I saw Dolly in the flesh and got to talk to her, I think I would just lose my mind.
I know, and I think she's got a personality. You'd probably get at ease pretty fast, but it's that sort of shock factor.
It's Dolly, though.
I think that's what it is. It's the shock that you're in the presence of somebody...
Of Dolly.
Of Dolly.
As I said, it's
of
like I'd
Dolly.
be coming back. It's like, I met her. I made a total ass of myself. Something.
Yeah, it's like you walk
Yeah.
away. It's like,
But you were all
You're
over the place. I mean,
embarrassed,
check. Your live shows are great, and you
Thank you.
tour all over the place. We're
do.
very, very lucky that you actually come back here.
Yeah. I love coming back here. It's, Rochester has been so supportive of me, and, everybody always says, like, worst case scenario, you have your hometown. So I always keep that in mind, and I've just been so supported here.
Yeah, I'll be
love
at your
it.
gig at Iron Smoke
Awesome.
once I find my way around the bridge. And I don't know about you, but you know it. I know it. I know Tommy. But I don't care how many times I've been there. I get lost going by there every time.
That's so
and one
funny.
time I ended up in that restaurant by it.
Oh.
And I had the hardest time turning around to get out of there.
Oh gosh, I can find it now because I've done a music video and 2 shows there, so I can find it now. But the first couple of times it was a little confusing.
It's a great venue, though.
Oh, I love it, and Tommy's great.
Yeah, he's always sort of hands-on. I'll
Yeah.
run into him walking and he goes, hey, dude, it's going to be a great show tonight. Well, if it's not, just have enough whiskey. It'll be a great show.
There you go.
I got my Scully shirt.
There you
but
go.
actually, coming into town the other way, I saw it better. So
There you go.
I'll get
Okay.
there eventually. When
Yeah.
you play. It'll be summer. It'll
Just
be
get
nice.
to the vicinity, you'll be good.
It'll be summer. It'll be nice out.
Yeah.
But that's cool, and you'll be back there. But you have a bunch of gigs coming up, I'm sure, not just here, but anywhere.
Yeah.
And we can just find you on. You have tons. If you can't remember it, I have stuff for you to use. of your own stuff.
Yeah. The best place to go to find all of my stuff would be my website, which is just alyssatrahan.com. My shows are on there, my social media's on there, music videos, everything's on there.
Isn't it so different these days when the old story about, well, guys, we were pressing some albums, selling them out of the car. Now you can get this out there. It's
Yeah.
amazing how simple it is.
It's one of the perks and good things about social media, how easy it is to just get your stuff out there.
Yeah. Because you think of like all these bands, like in the years, you'll find these obscure bands, but they might be local legends, but you think of some of these so-called local legends. okay, if this was now, you'd be seeing them on YouTube, and you have a big chance to get out there, Spotify and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And you think, I mean, that's the thing, recording is still fun for you, right? Because I know some artists.
Love recording,
see, some artists, and I like that too, it's like I'm very big on, I don't care if it's on CD, album, whatever. I want to hear new music. Some bands just say it's not worth it. I'm just going to play live. But I think there's a market for it. I really do.
I think a big part of that is that recording is really expensive. And unfortunately, fans aren't buying music like they used to. So,
well, I do. To heck with them.
Yeah, which is great.
And what I do too, I tell people, like, for your stuff, anybody's stuff I know, I will get copies and I'll hand them out to people. I'll say, now, if you like this, you don't be burning this. Go burn like Lady Gaga. She's rich. No, not really. But I always say, support local artists. Not like they're multi-millionaires. This is how they don't be burning their stuff.
Everybody was a local artist at some point.
Everybody started out terrible. There's a saying. No, somebody said that. I was actually just reading J. Michael Straczynski's book, and he had quite the rough childhood. But he said, pick any writer, any artist. The Beatles, before they ever played, were just a pub band that nobody knew. And and everybody, when they started, they weren't who they were now. They probably were pretty terrible. Like he said, when he wrote, he said, this stuff was just utter crap. But, so I kept doing it. You don't start off with your best. If you start off with your best, you're kind of in trouble later on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was terrible when I first started, but it was I was.
You did a damn
but it was a
Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Because that's how we learned.
Yeah.
And I learned very badly.
If it's a passion, you just keep going and, you hope you get better.
But where can we find you all over here? Social media and everywhere else?
Social media, Facebook, Instagram. I like posting about my kitties if you want to see them.
If you don't care about the music, watch the kitties. They're really awesome.
My kitties. They're my babies. I love them. But yeah, check me out: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Music.
It's easy to spell too. Mm-hmm. I was worried I was going to call you Allison because I have Allison on my brain.
Oh, I've been called everything. The worst I've been called is Elijah. Somebody thought my name was Elijah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Really?
Just from looking at it, yeah, I can see why people would make that mistake.
Elijah. I've gotten Elijah, Allison, Elisa,
because there's so many E's and J's in your name.
I know, yeah.
I mean,
thanks really so much for coming down. Your schedule's crazy.
It's a little crazy. I jam pack it when I come back, so.
And everything I know. You were on Scott's show and just going around doing everything. You have a gig. This won't be out today probably, but it'll be out soon. Yeah. But you have a gig in Brockport tonight.
I do. Yeah, I have one tonight, one tomorrow, one Saturday, and then I fly back home to Nashville on Sunday.
So by the time you guys hear this, she'll be gone.
That's very possible. Yeah. But I'm coming back. Don't you worry.
Iron Smoke. I have it written on my calendar already. You're playing. See, I know the gig before you do.
I don't think I have any Iron Smoke gigs. Oh, yes, I do in June. You're right.
In June. Not now. In June, I have it written on my calendar.
I'm not thinking to June yet. I'm thinking April.
Well, when you go out to, Brockport, go through the snow, you'll be thinking June.
Yeah, I'll be, I want summer. Yeah.
But that's really cool that you still come back, and that's really nice that you remember the town, you love it here, and then
of course, always,
and everything else, which
this
is
where
really
I got my start.
Hey, that's always cool, and I always like to say, well, I knew these people, and now they don't want to even talk to me anymore. Oh. but I knew them when. But it's always cool seeing people progress from the start, and I've seen this in so many levels with so many people. Wow, I remember when we were playing, you were playing, there were 10 people there, you botched up the chords, and now look at you, and I was there from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And you hear people, have you ever seen my band before? Some people are like, I've been here for 5 years. But we're going to play something, and some music, if you like to play something. I have your CDs. I don't know if you have something.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I have a brand new song out. Yep. You guys can play that.
Why don't you introduce and everything? It's your song. Sure, you do a better job than us.
It's called Memories, Not Dreams, and I just released it a couple weeks ago. We just put the music video out, and really it's just a song about living your life to the fullest while you can, and making sure you don't look back on your life with any regrets.
But that's the only thing I'll always say. Do you enjoy doing music videos?
I do. And they're really fun.
Tom Petty said one time that sometimes what it does to the songs is he said, don't come around here no more if you listen. Everybody knows that video. The Crazy Alice in Wonderland video. He said, it's a real dark song. But, during the concert, I would get out the hat. Kids would love it, as he would say. But it was really dark. But how it could change the music from being visual to listening to the lyrics.
Yeah. It's cool. I feel like music videos are kind of mini movies. And I always like to look at them that way. And I want to make sure that they support the lyrics and what I'm singing about. So it's always fun to kind of give a visual element to it. And especially if the lyrics are a little tricky, if there's kind of a twist on them, it's cool to kind of throw that in a music video.
It's always, because it's always fun to get in. It's like multi-genre and everything.
Yeah.
But the song is, we'll play the song. And
Yeah.
thanks a lot for, and good luck on gigs. Happy travels.
you.
When you get back to Nashville, you'll go, wow, it's actually not horrible.
It's not snowing.
It's
I've heard
mild.
it's really like the summers, because I guess I almost did an internship at the Hermitage there,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard it can get, like for somebody from up here, can get really hot.
It does get really hot, like middle of summer, and it does snow there, not often. So, I mean, it does get cold and stuff. It'll get down below freezing and stuff, but not as, like, painful as it is here. Like, I always tell my dad, like, the air hurts here. It's so cold. It doesn't hurt in Nashville. It's just chilly. But here, you walk outside and you're like, oh, there's, like, needles on my face. It hurts.
Yeah, I was coming here with the 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Yes,
But,
yes.
You know, congrats on your career and
Thank
everything.
you.
Looking forward, everything you do in the future should be awesome.
Thank
and,
you.
know, see her gigs. She really brings it. 3 hours of, I got tired just watching you.
It's tiring. I had coffee with me, so it's okay.
Always, that's the thing. The big thing is like the coffee.
Yeah, or
But
espresso.
go see the live gigs, and there's plenty of opportunities to catch you live because you play a lot of gigs.
I do, yeah. I like playing a lot, so I play as much as I can.
So that's very good. So, and thanks a lot for being here, and we'll play
Yeah.
your song.
Thank you for
and
having me.
Happy travels, and
Happy trails.
voila. See ya.
Thank you.
It's been written on pages and stone, but it's just words until it hits home. Life is shorter than you think, and the truth is another day is never guaranteed. You're born and suddenly you're 16. The next morning you wake up at 53. Those one day, someday plans you had, they never came to life. You say you never had the chance. Everybody's time is gonna come. That's the one thing we can all count on. I don't know when it will be, but when it's my time to leave, I wanna die with memories, not dreams. I don't know how much time I have left, but I do know that I don't wanna have any regrets. Working bills and income taxes, life fills up with these distractions. Before you know it, you're looking back, wondering what happened. Everybody's time is gonna come. That's the one thing we can all count on. I don't know when it will be, but when it's my time to leave, I wanna die with memories, not dreams. I'm gonna take that trip and call that friend, tell the ones I love them again. Do all the things I always said, and maybe a few I didn't yet. Everybody's time is gonna come. That's the one thing we can all count on. I don't know when it will be, but when it's my time to leave, I wanna die with memories. I wanna die with memories, not dreams.